you missed the sparklers, but we close it on camera, so it's all good. $3 roughly.
Yeah.
So I was just telling the camera that we are in West Africa House, and this used to be the official bank of West Africa. This is Jamm time. We're having our lovely pot of tea. Mine is orange and cedarwood, I believe. And yours is butternut truffle as a latte, which apparently,
I ain't trying to.
neither have I, but yours looks nicer than mine. It really does. Apparently,
Caramel complexion.
yeah, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. But yeah, apparently you're not supposed to have like...
Yours looks healthy though. See a lot of like leaves.
Yeah, it's orange and cedarwood and something else. I can't remember what. I'll have to ask the woman when she comes up.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently you're not supposed to have like anything other than tea at afternoon tea. I was researching the etiquette of afternoon tea.
Yeah. So are we doing what afternoon tea
Well, no, I don't think this
is meant to be?
No, I don't think it's very traditional. There seems to be a lot of peppers in that going on.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is like a modern tea on an afternoon tea. So
What's that? Our desserts.
that's our dessert, yeah, our cakes and everything. And this is a vegan one. Because you know we're doing our hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're bringing me through.
Yeah.
Basically.
Step into the light.
I've been living in the dark ages. Straight.
Your carnivore life.
Straight meat.
All right, shall we tuck in?
Yeah, why not, man?
I want to try this thing. Cheers, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Cheers, baby.
Yeah.
I love the way you look me in the eyes.
Alright, let's go again.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That was my slur.
Yeah, you know, people were onto me after the last one.
That's another thing in the last one.
I was like,
you looked sad. You looked vexed.
you know what it is? I was tired.
Yeah, and
That's literally all it was.
you've always had your apprehensions about us doing our podcast as well. So I think it's a bit like, this girl,
You know what it
what
is?
she doing?
It's like, no man should want to be a gossip. Do you know what I mean? That's just my stance in it. And not that we are gossiping, like hopefully there's like takeaways from our conversations and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Because we talk a lot and there's a lot of goodness that we speak to each other. Do you know what I mean? And there's a lot of substance to our conversations in general. Of course we have fun and that, but yeah, man, I think sometimes like the podcast nowadays, like a lot of guys are kind of being seen to be like gossips. Do you know what I mean? And growing up, if I'm really honest, like, you know how they say like real G's roll in silence kind of thing? Like, that's the kind of code that I grew up. Do you know what I mean? So there isn't much that I really say about my life in general. Do you know what I mean? Unless I'm conveying it through my music or, do you know what I mean?
Or if you're talking about your work.
I'm talking about exactly, do you know what I mean? It needs to be like, it needs to benefit someone, like otherwise I'm not just gonna just talk to talk, do you know what I mean? But a lot of podcasters are kind of I think women actually have kind of seen like, wait, guys actually talk a lot as well, because obviously there's always been that whole thing of like women talk, you know what I mean? Podcasts or talk shows are more for women because women enjoy conversations with themselves and their friends, but actually guys, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's important to talk as well. I mean, not every conversation has to be gossip.
Yeah.
Conversations can be very productive, actually, and I think it's important for more men to speak. You know, I think World Mental Health Day was a couple of weeks ago, was it 10th of October or something like that?
Yeah.
And I think it was like more than, it's nice, you know? Yeah. It's got like nuts in it and stuff. I feel like you can hear me chomping on the microphone now. I hope not. But anyway.
Someone will tell us in the comments.
Yeah, they will.
It's all good.
My sister. Yeah, like, who's chomping? But yeah, I feel like this year more than ever, it was more prolific. Like, people are actually taking it seriously because mental health is key. It really is key. Like, if your mind's not right, your body's not right, your spirit's not right, you feel all out of kilter.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of men in particular, it's not seen as like healthy to share your emotions or express yourself, express how you're feeling.
Yeah.
So a lot of men kind of keep things to themselves, or they always feel like they have to be tough. You know, even that role of provider, you can't complain, you just have to crack on with things. Like, that's not good, because we're all human beings.
Don't get me wrong, there's like I genuinely, like, I've grown up in a house mostly full of men. So like for me, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being a man and like looking after your woman or looking after your mum or your sister. Do you know what I mean? Like, women need protection. So that doesn't need a big banner to say, yo, I'm a man, I'm doing all these things. Like, you're supposed to do those things regardless. But I understand what you're saying, like, you know, because that is the, I guess, the God-given duty for men. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes it can be this thing of, okay, so you can't get tired then. Do you know what I mean? You can't get tired, you can't get burnt out. You can't, you know, avoid that duty. And I think for some people it can affect them mentally, do you know what I mean? Because there's always that pressure. With that pressure, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure.
And then we go through things as well, like, you're not always going to be up. Do you know what I mean? You're not always going to be up, or you're not always going to be good. Do you know what I mean? You'll have your down days. And it's I think it's cool that people can talk about it. I've got a lot more my boys are like open in the group chats now about things that they're going through versus before, where it's like you put on this pretense or this whole thing of like, you know, like nothing affects me. You know, but it's cool that people can just be real and honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fine. No, I feel, yeah, it's very important. I think self-care for men as well is very important, like spa days. I know we've enjoyed a few spa days, and
Yeah.
you know, even like just looking after your feet and your skin and your hair, and those types of things make you feel good, and you know, it's essential.
It's like an MOT, innit? I mean, can't keep running. You need a service check sometimes. Yeah?
That's it.
So yeah, he was talking about this place.
So this
West Africa House.
West Africa House.
It's my first time being as well.
Yeah, it's a beautiful building. It's an absolutely beautiful building. So right now it's being used by a company called Leaf, and they run a cafe called Omi and Mai from here, who do lovely afternoon tea. Yeah. This is not a sponsorship or anything. I'm just enjoying afternoon tea.
You don't get plugged.
No. But it is. It's nice, and it's a nice place to come. And I think, you know, something that I've been. Yeah, it is. It's nice.
Love the decor.
Yeah, the art acts and everything.
Service is amazing as well.
Yeah, service is nice. Yeah. Something I've been looking into lately is history and heritage, and you know what it means.
You said that this was West Africa House.
West Africa House. Yeah.
So
this used to be the Bank of West Africa, the official Bank of West Africa.
Just in Liverpool or in the UK?
In general, this was the Bank of West Africa. The official Bank of West Africa was here.
I need to look into that.
So
how long?
So
how long was? Do you know how long it was around?
I don't know the history. I did a tour with Lawrence, and he spoke about it. But I know that this was like the main bank.
No, it's Westgaff.
Yeah, but I think it was probably to do with the British economy.
Yeah, I'm still yet to do one of his tours.
Okay. Yeah, you need to do it. It's good. They are good. There's lots of different things around the city to look at. Very interesting things.
Go on. So I talked to you.
No, it's okay. Yeah, but it's made me think about history and heritage and what it means to be Black and British. Like, for me, the two things aren't mutually exclusive. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be one or the other. And just embracing heritage a little bit more and just feel comfortable. Like even having a little afternoon tea, it's quintessentially a very British thing to do. But, you know, I think it's nice that we can explore our cultures in different ways. And I'm pretty sure afternoon tea came from an African person.
Yeah. No crust.
No crust.
I'm used to eating crust, you know. You know, there's nutrition in the crust, you know.
Gives you curly hair, so I've been told.
You ain't gonna get no curly hair with this.
No.
No crust.
No. So, How do you feel being a black man in England?
In England?
Yeah, it's a big question, but how does it make you feel?
It's a very broad question. And I think,
Let's say in Liverpool. Being in Liverpool.
I mean, like, let's go back to your first question, man. Like, I've lived a long time now. I don't look nothing like what I've been through, man. I don't look nothing like what I've been through. You know? But yeah, I think if you had asked me that at like adolescent stage to, you know, kidulthood to adulthood, you know what I mean? Like every time I would probably give you a different answer. Now, black is in. Like, let's just say, like, in a sense of, we're going through this period of like, I think it's like since the George Floyd death, where people have kind of seen like, wow, like someone in 2020 could be lynched, like could be killed in such a way, with no sort of acknowledgement for life, you know, no compassion, no remorse, like, and it's made people who aren't black, so other races, you know, actually stop and think, like, how do I actually treat black people myself? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they're in a workplace, like, am I creating a space where black people can feel equal here and
Feel comfortable.
do you know what I mean? And so when I say black is in, I just think it's like people are at least having that conversation, even if it's with with themselves.
Yeah.
I know, like, obviously people like threw up like black squares on Instagram,
But then it's what do you
acts
do?
of solidarity. Yeah.
What do you actually do? And I think with a lot of people, they are checking themselves because people love this. Oh, I'm not racist. I don't think I'm not like that. But then in reality, they will notice how they behave. So they're checking their own behaviour. And I think as well with what happened with George Floyd, because it was in lockdown, people were, you know, indoors. They had chance to reflect. So I think it's really created something that is ingrained in people's psyche. And if people are really researching history, particularly in this country, then they'll understand the contributions that black people have made to this country. It's kind of shunned and, you know, oh yeah, when people just come over, people coming over and free labor or whatever the perception was. But actually, you know, St. George is black. When you look into history, when you really look into history, King James was black, Shakespeare was black, Mozart was black. So it's the way that history's been twisted and perceived.
And that information anyway, if I had that information at a younger age, for instance, I would have maybe felt a bit different about my sense of worth or self-esteem, because obviously, you know, being black and being British, you've only been taught, or I've only been taught, I'm not sure about other people, but, you know, in terms of your history, you're only taught up until a point where, you know, you learn that your ancestors were slaves. Not that they were kings or queens or engineers or scientists or, you know, innovative pioneers, you know. And if you have a role model, and a lot of people that have role models, it's proven, if you have a good role model in your life, you're more than likely to try and emulate, you know, even if
you can see it, you can be it.
If you can see it, you can be it. Do you know what I mean? But if you're just told you're this and you're that, you're nothing. I mean, Fez got you up against the wall. I was like 14 when I first got like shifted, or you know what I mean? Like, just think, what's your
motivation,
purpose being here? Do you know what I mean? Really. But anyway, like, going back to your question about how for a black man here, like I said, black is in, and so currently I don't feel as threatened, let's just say, when I walk into spaces where there aren't other black people, because people are making more of an effort to actually at least hear what I've got to say, or you know, make me feel comfortable. in the spaces that I'm in. But I compare that to like 10, 15 years ago when I used to be in the office in the city, and I was like one of only few black men, especially in the office, and how I'd have to like dress twice as smart as everyone else. You know what I mean?
Whereas
Come in twice as early.
Jeff can come in his Converse and
listen, I used to pull people up on that as well. Because I just used to find it funny because they were still my brethren, just because they're not black. Like, I've got Scottish friends, white friends, you know what I mean? Irish friends. I've got so many, like, it's not about race for me, but it was about race for them. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I would have to make all of these adjustments and jumping through these hoops in order to fit in to the workplace, versus them not being able to come in and be who they are and be themselves and contribute based on the ability rather than also how they look and everything like that. And that's what most black people just want. They want that opportunity just to
be themselves.
Be themselves.
Be accepted.
So, but like I said, if you had asked me this question when I was in my adolescence, I would have been like, I don't want to be here. Because every time I'm driving, getting pulled over, I'm legit. I might have a nice car, whatever. That doesn't mean I've stolen it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, how about you ask me what my occupation is, not whether I own something. Why don't you ask me about, you know, who I am, rather than what I've done first. You know what I mean? Like, how'd you get this?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Like, so that's
just to be respected.
That's the difference.
Just to be respected.
Yeah, and then of course that, like, I'm a savvy person, so I've had encounters with like authorities and stuff like that, and you know, thankfully I'm here sitting with you now. But some of my friends, they're not here. They're in jail or worse or whatever, because they just didn't have the patience or the education or the guidance to you know, deal with adverse situations in a way that created a positive resolution. Do you know what I mean? So for instance, someone else getting pulled over, especially knowing that you've worked hard, you've done what you needed to do to acquire this car legitimately, and you're getting pulled over, that can piss you off. So, you know what I mean? Like, where I've got the patience and I'm like, okay, I know what you're trying to do. You're just gonna, like, because I've dealt with you before, I know what this beast looks like. You know what I mean? I've dealt with this beast before, so I know you're just trying to get under my skin. Someone else would be like, F this, I'm tired of you being on my skin. Yeah. About my skin. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean?
Lash out.
Exactly. And then from that, it just perpetuates a cycle of incarceration and this and that. So, like, yeah, how do I feel as a black man? That's a very big question. Yeah. My brother, big up my brother Ben, actually. Like, he, a couple of years ago, I think it was for like 20, I can't remember what birthday it was, but he bought me a book called What Being Black Is and What Being Black Isn't. I encourage everyone to go and read that book, you know, and read in general and learn more about who you are, and also for people that aren't black, being able to actually look past our skin color, because it's about who you are rather than what you look like. Like, I could be anyone sitting here, but if I'm a man who is going to respect or disrespect you, that's how, depending on how I treat you, is how you will then respond, right? Not based on what I look like. Yeah. You know, and
it's that preconception, and I think a lot of media influences affected that. Systemic things that are being uncovered.
You know, but how do you feel, like, as a black woman?
I think,
or mixed, woman of mixed heritage, even,
I think
but
my
you know,
experience has been a little bit different in the sense that growing up in Liverpool, I always see myself as being black, and then when I went to London, people were like, "No, you're not black." I was like, "I am." But that was because my perception of black was TV black, so that's like Sister Black and Moesha Black, and do you know what I mean? It's slightly different. So, and also Liverpool's got a large mixed race community who consider themselves to be black. So even the fairest skinned people whose maybe their dad is multi-heritage, half black, half white, they still consider themselves to be black. So it's a bit of a different upbringing.
Yeah.
But understanding, like, you know, what it means to be a black person versus what it means to be someone who's mixed race, I get there's definitely a difference there. I think a lot of the time racism on an interpersonal level boils down to otherism. So white people namely, they will identify with what they can recognise. So white people might look at me and see themselves in me, so I think the interactions might be a little bit softer. But ultimately, you know, I've definitely experienced racism. I've definitely been called a nigger. I've definitely been like, you know, marginalised. And I think there's like this reverse kind of positive aspect of being a mixed race female. That whole stigma of being a lighty, I think that's something that's really affected me over time, because there's a perception that comes with it of that you think you're too good, you think you're too nice. Or
From who?
From people. I think more black people in general. Yeah, I think white people have got this stigma and the stereotype of, oh, you're a black guy, you must have a bad attitude or whatever. But from black people, I think, you know, that whole thing of being a lighty, I think it's very ignorant. I've always hated the term. It's never been something I've worn or embraced like some people do. I just think it's bizarre. It's always been very bizarre.
Yeah, because you don't wake up and choose to be white or black. You're mixed race.
Yeah.
That's just who you are.
Yeah. And I've always had that approach, even though I've been surrounded by racism on both sides, from both sides, I think, because particularly in Liverpool, it's very much what's the word, like, it's a bit, like, it's a bit like a clan, like it's almost like you're part of a clan when you're from Liverpool. It's like people like their own, you stick to their own.
Yeah.
So like my dad was always very prejudiced and racist, and like, he's hard now, do you know what I mean? But he always has his prejudices towards other races, and same like vice versa. My nan, who ironically is his mum, like when she got Alzheimer's, she used to call us the N-word, and you know, just be, it's rife. Racism's been rife in Liverpool, but me as an individual, I've always looked at people for who they are, not what they look like. I've always, and I think something that helped me with that actually when I was like 14, I mean, I've always been like that since I was a kid, but something that really put it into perspective for me was doing disability training and learning that people with disabilities, even though I don't like to put them in the same category, but it was just the mindset of that people with disabilities, they are not their disability. So that's not a disabled person, that's a person with a disability. So you look at the person first, and then the external things come after. You know, you might acknowledge, oh, this person's looked this type of way, but the initial thing is, who are you as an individual?
I totally agree with you. And I think that's probably one of the issues that needs to be, I guess, broken down. I know they're talking about, you know, this buzzword of like decolonizing the curriculums and you know, but it's like, even me, you've asked me what do I feel like to be black and British, you know, really it should be, what do I feel like to be British?
Yes.
It just so happens that I'm black.
And
you know what I mean?
But the fact is, sometimes we that's an ideal world, but the fact is, it plays a factor, and unfortunately, it shouldn't play a factor, but it does. Do you know what I mean? And that's what we need to look at, because even things like Black History, like they say in the World Reimagined, obviously I've been working for the World Reimagined project, and it's opened my eyes to a lot of things. But one of the key things that that I have taken away, and that we kind of talk about as a team.
Yeah, big up the World Reimagined.
Yeah, big up the World Reimagined project. But one of the key things is, it's not just Black history, it's everybody's history.
Yeah, it's everybody's.
Why do we, and why are we talking about...
There's a war in Ukraine right now, just because it affects us all.
Yeah, there's
people
things
dying.
going on in Iran, there's things going on in Haiti, there's things going on in
Your gas prices going up?
Yes.
Why do you think?
Yes,
you know what I
my
mean?
bills are high.
Everything, there's always a knock-on effect.
Yeah.
Always a knock-on effect.
And that's the thing.
Not just, you know what I mean? No, it's not limited to one community.
Yeah, that's the thing of eradicating otherism, because that's what we do. We other there.
I know that's a trivial thing what I just said there, but what I'm basically trying to say is, like, it affects everybody.
Yeah, it does.
You know what I mean? But forget gas prices, forget all that nonsense.
No, it's true
It's
though.
people's lives. People, you know what I mean?
Of course, but it is true, and these things have an effect on us. So, like in an ideal world, we don't have to.
We should all care about it.
Yeah, and in an ideal world, you know, we can shut ourselves off and but at the end of the day, everything has a knock-on effect. Yeah. And these things, you know, they create a ripple effect. It's like when we were talking before about like what it's like to be a young man, a young black man in particular, growing up. You know, in 2010, the government cut the youth funding. That's had a massive impact on our youth. Like my nephew now is 21, growing up, he never had the opportunities that we had, where we had access to youth centres and things like that. So now he's of an age where he doesn't really know what he wants to do. He's kind of struggling. Yeah. And like you, he was very marginalised. Like the first time he got stopped by the police, he was going for a run with my mum and my sister in the park. And he was 12. And obviously he's run ahead of them. The police have stopped him, like, why are you running? And the park is like, I'm on a run with me nan and my mum. He's 12 years of age. Do you know what I mean? So that experience combined with not having anywhere to go and not having an outlet or a place to express yourself, it's really detrimental and we need to look after our youth.